Welcome back to Finding You, the journey of recovering your heart. My name is Blake, and this is Keith, who is our licensed trained counselor, who's been our guide as we've been discovering and talking through this amazing gift that God has given us, which is our heart. The heart enables us to have relationship. And our heart is utilized or made up of these 8 amazing feelings. And these feelings, these are tools that allows us to get the gifts that God wants us to get. They're not the goal.
Right.
They get us there. And when we utilize them through this formula, we get what God has given us. Well, today's feeling, I would say, is one of the most controversial or most confused because we have a lot of feelings attached to it.
Right.
That's actually not what it is. Will you walk us through, Keith? Anger.
Anger is the key emotion that will give us access to the other emotions. Anger does 3 things. First, it motivates us, it warns us, and then it also clarifies. So those are huge relational components. If I'm going to successfully stay current in my relationships, I got to be aware of my anger. And so the need for my anger is a voice to be heard. And if you have read in the scriptures regularly, if you understand the heart and how it's met, that you will see that these people who were sick and brought their sicknesses to Jesus for a physical healing, they were angry.
Because many times people are like, stop talking.
Quiet.
Yeah. Don't interact with him. Why are you doing this?
And they said it louder. Jesus, have mercy on us. And so when you feel anger, it moves you towards your humanness and eventually towards your need. And ultimately, those people who bring their need to God experience His presence. I need my voice to be heard. And anger is the most vulnerable feeling because it is describing something that matters to me. I am all in. I'm passionate about this subject. And so that's what you bring into relationship. And it's really the most vulnerable feeling.
And that's why, going back into it, it's the gatekeeper to the other 7, because do I feel angry enough to say, yes, that hurt me? Yeah. Am I angry enough to be like, yes, that did matter to me in sadness?
Yeah.
And so it makes so much sense. So that's the need. What is the gift when we allow anger to do its work?
Yeah, the gift of doing the work after we bring our work, patience, willingness, and time is passion. And passion is the greatest attribute that Jesus role modeled for us here on the earth. So passion, one of the definitions is a willingness to go through pain for something that matters more than the pain. And so Jesus caught the vision about us being what matters more than the pain that He went through. And so that is His main feature here on the earth. Now, other words for anger, for passion would be wanting or yearning or needing or longing, hoping, wishing. These are words that describe passion. And passion is offensive. Passion, so here's where we need to talk about the difference between rage and anger.
Because most of the time when we think of anger, we're actually thinking of rage.
Yeah, what we've experienced and labeled as somebody's anger wasn't actually anger, it was rage. So the difference between anger and rage is the distance from the east is from the west. And we would have covered this already in the fear emotion, but the content is super relevant because anger is offensive. Jesus was offensively moving forward.
Not offending.
Right.
Offensive, on the move.
On the move.
Assertive.
Anger is I'm going to do whatever it takes to get where I'm going. Whereas rage, that is the isolation, a component of my fear, is defensive. It is saying, I will do whatever it takes to survive. And if that means to kill you to do it, then that's what I'll do.
We think of like the mama bear.
Yes.
She will destroy because you're messing with what matters most. And you've talked about that. We know rage is, people will say the description, all I saw was red.
Yes. So there's a key component scientifically of what happens if you understand that limbic system. When you are in your right brain hemisphere and your right brain amygdala is firing off, you're in the fight, flight, and freeze mode. So you're functioning at a lower level in your sympathetic nervous system into the fight mode.
So you're not, so anger, I'm still in touch.
Yes.
I'm in touch with reality, or I'm still in control of what's going on. Where rage is I've given up control to the emotion, and I'm no longer the one doing it. It's the emotion. It has taken over.
So what will earmark that is when I'm in rage, I won't be aware of any of my other feelings. But when I'm angry, I'm well aware of my other feelings, and I'm able to separate them because I'm functioning in my executive control, in my higher order thinking.
So I think a good question then is as you're going through something, can you show empathy in the moment?
Right.
Are you paying attention to how it impacts the other person?
Yeah.
Are you thinking, because if you no longer care what the other person feels or thinks, now you're in rage.
Yeah.
Because when that mama bear comes in and destroying whatever animal that's coming, she doesn't care what she does at that moment.
Yeah.
And so I think for many of us, we need to ask ourselves when we got angry, and maybe this is what's keeping you from letting your voice be heard, is the last time you didn't, you lashed out.
Yeah.
And you said things and you did things that now you have toxic shame and you need to let that out.
Yeah. We need to keep working through the shame to get to my guilt about a behavior that's not who I am. It's something that I've done. All of that takes time. And in that moment where somebody approaches me relationally with his or her truth, I will have a knee-jerk reaction of getting on my heels and feeling like I need to defend myself.
And I think we talked about this as we were prepping. This side of the board is anger within relationship.
Yes.
This side is anger outside of relationship.
Yes.
It's driving me. So walk us through, what is the impairment of depression? Because I feel like depression is that $1 million word that people throw around in our culture all the time.
Correct. So on the left side of the board is when I'm showing up in my impairment because I'm not willing to tell the truth. If I'm over here, then I'm not telling the truth about my anger. So the impairment of anger internally is depression, where I depress my voice. So there's Archimedes says that whenever you push down like a ball underwater, it has an increased
pressure to come back up.
Rise, yes. So I'm going to, when I finally connect with my voice after been depressing it, it's going to come out as rage. And so the anger is so important because if I have not found and used my voice, then I am going to be a victim of everybody else. And I'm going to need them to be responsible for me since I've never gotten the chance to talk about my insides or ask for what I need. And so impairment of depression, this is probably the origin of my depressive symptoms, of like major depressive. And I'm not saying that to come off medication for something like that, but this is a key component towards your health and restoration from the symptoms of your depression. And another impression, now this might sound strange, but it's the isolation is self-will run riot. And when I was studying this, I too had to look that up. Like, what does that even mean?
Sounds weird.
Right, it sounds weird, but it's my will, self-will running riot. Like I just pull myself up by my bootstraps, I try harder, and then I will depend on me, and I'll muster the anger to get it done.
Because I can't voice it to you, so I have to do it myself.
Yeah, I'll take on things that aren't mine, and I'll just try harder, and I'll depress my voice all the while. And so I might look fine on the outside, but I'm really angry on the inside. I don't even know it. I'll just try harder on the outside.
And the danger of that is that we can be very successful.
Very much so. Until something fails us, whether it be our relationships or our addictions, anxieties, or eventually our bodies. Like we can't control these things, and we can no longer constrain our humanity. There is a movie scene in Kevin Costner's film called For the Love of the Game. And at the end of that movie, he's a pitcher, he's about to ready to retire. He finally throws the perfect game. All the while he's processing his relationship up there on the mound. And at the apex of his career, when you would think he would be deeply celebrating, he ends up in the penthouse of his suite weeping alone. It is the image of self-will run riot where he had framed it, or the world had framed it for him, that this is what's going to bring me happiness, when in fact it just brought empty tragedy. And his voice was not heard, his insights were not understood, and he was isolated. That is God's definition of cursed.
So our action plan, we always want to end these videos with an action plan. What will make sure that you're living on this side and not this side? Because none of us want to live in that, because it turns into no relationships. And again, we're not made for that.
Yeah.
And so as we think through this, in this book, they've got some great self-reflection questions. And one of them is this: how can anger help you declare your heart's truths? So you're going through something and you're interacting with people. How can anger right now help you communicate? What needs to be communicated? And then I'd say number 2, think of a time that you were depressed. What were you angry about that you could not express? And I would say, what did that lead to?
Yeah.
Because I think that's so important. And then the last question: what differences do you see between anger and rage? What were some times when you acted out of rage? Did the outcomes provide heart gratification or leave you wanting more? Did they leave you confused or empty? And explain that. So again, as we've said, the goal of this series is just not to feel feelings to feel feelings. It's to recover how you were made. And then when you find out how you were made, then it allows you to have a relationship with God and with others. And that's our goal. Mm-hmm. And the reason why that's our goal is that is how you were created. A fully functioning human being, the way God created you from the beginning. And so we want to continue to invite you, keep digging. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of work and willingness, because even as we're making this video, I'm thinking of all these things that I need to apply. And I need to be like, stand up, allow God to give me the grace and walk through it. So continue joining us on this amazing journey. We'll see you at the next video.